All right, let's dive into this AI thing, huh? Looks like you sent us a whole bunch of stuff to go through. Want to get a handle on what it all means.
Yeah, definitely want to unpack AI from the early days to what's going on now and maybe even peek into the future a bit.
Awesome. We'll make sure you really understand AI, like the good and the bad, and how it's already messing with your life.
Speaking of definitions, the European Commission, they say AI is like systems that act all smart by checking out their environment.
Okay, but I feel like there's got to be more to it than that, right?
For sure. AI is not just one thing, right? It's like from simple advice to those crazy algorithms making big decisions, it runs the whole range.
Gotcha. So what's this waves of AI thing I see in the notes here?
Yeah, that's just a way of looking at how AI has changed over time. 3 waves so far.
Okay, so wave 1, the first approach, what was that like?
It was all about like programming intelligence, symbolic AI, they called it, like taking what experts knew and turning it into computer rules.
So teaching a computer to think step by step.
Yeah, exactly. Take tax software, for example. All those crazy rules, right?
Okay.
Experts would team up with programmers, put all that into software, boom, instant tax expert on your computer.
Like a virtual tax guy.
Yep. And then there was fuzzy logic, a way of dealing with things that aren't so clear-cut. Like your camera's auto-adjust settings, uses fuzzy logic to figure out the best settings for a good pick.
So it's not just set rules, it's about adapting, huh?
Right on. But these early systems, they had their limits. Good for clear problems, but the real world, it's messy, always changing.
Okay, so that's where wave 2 comes in, right? Machine learning time.
You got it. Wave 2, it's all about the data. No more pre-programmed rules. Machine learning algorithms, they learn from tons of data, finding patterns, making predictions. We don't have to tell them exactly how.
Like teaching a computer to learn on its own.
Bingo. And the big breakthrough was, get this, artificial neural networks, ANNs, modeled after the human brain.
Neural networks, yeah. I hear that everywhere, but I don't really get it. How do they work?
So imagine a network, right? Like nodes, connections, sort of like neurons in your brain. Each node takes info, processes it, sends it on. More layers means more complex processing. That's where deep learning comes in.
Deep, meaning more layers, more complex, the network's thinking deeper.
That's it. Adds more depth, more nuance to how the network understands the data. How do they learn, you ask? Gradient descent and evolutionary algorithms, those are 2 big ones.
Okay, explain those like I'm 5.
Gradient descent, it's like finding the lowest point in a valley. You keep adjusting, taking little steps downhill till you hit bottom. The bottom here is the solution with the least errors.
So it's like constantly fine-tuning, getting better based on the data.
Exactly. Now, evolutionary algorithms, they're different. Imagine a bunch of ANNs, all kind of different, competing to solve something. The best ones, they survive, they reproduce, make a new generation of even better networks.
Wow, it's like mimicking nature. So what's machine learning good at?
Oh man, so much stuff we thought computers could never do. Image recognition, translating languages, speech to text, it's crazy. We've come a long way from those rule-based systems.
It really is amazing. But there's got to be a downside.
There is. One of the big ones, especially with deep learning, is it's a bit of a black box. We don't always get why it made a decision, even if the decision is right.
So it's like a super smart assistant, but you can't argue with it because you don't know how it got there.
You got it. That lack of transparency, it's a problem, especially in things like healthcare or finance where you need accountability.
Makes sense. Anything else we got to worry about?
Oh, yeah. Data in the wild, they call it. Using data for things it wasn't meant for. Privacy, consent, all sorts of ethical and legal questions pop up.
Oh, and what about those deepfakes? That's some scary stuff right there.
Deepfakes, yeah. Perfect example of how AI can be bad. Fake videos, audio, images, all super realistic. Ruin reputations, spread fake news. It's dangerous.
Feels like every step forward with AI comes with new problems.
It's a constant balancing act, unleashing this incredible power while making sure it's used for good.
So now for wave 3. From old school AI to data-driven machine learning, what's next?
Now we get into the what-if stuff. Speculation time. Starts with 2 big ideas. Artificial general intelligence, or AGI, and artificial superintelligence, or ASI.
AGI and ASI, that sounds like science fiction.
It does, right. But that's what makes it so exciting and kind of scary.
Yeah.
AGI, it means AI that can think like us, do any intellectual task we can, not just one specific thing.
Like a truly smart machine, like in the movies.
Exactly. ASI, it takes it even further. AI that's way smarter than any human.
Okay, now I'm getting nervous.
I get it. It brings up a lot of questions. Control, ethics, the future of humanity, the whole deal.
So how do we even get to AGI or ASI? Is that even possible?
Different folks are working on it. Some ideas are out there for sure, like evolutionary algorithms running on those crazy quantum computers or whole brain emulation, trying to simulate the human brain.
Simulating the brain? That's crazy ambitious. And maybe a little scary.
Definitely raises some big questions. And then there's a singularity.
Ah, the singularity.
Yeah.
AI creating even smarter AI, taking over its own evolution.
Right. Some think it's bound to happen. Others say it's way off. Maybe we can even avoid it.
Hard to even imagine what that would be like.
It's mind-blowing for sure. But whether the singularity happens or not, it shows how important it is to think about where we're going with AI.
It's a lot of what ifs to think about.
That's why we got to have these conversations now. While AI is still young, understand the good, the bad, so we can make sure AI helps us, not hurts us.
You've definitely given us a lot to think about. Let's shift gears now and talk about how all this AI stuff is impacting our lives right now.
It's crazy, right? AI used to be this abstract idea, and now it's everywhere.
I know. It's like we're living in a sci-fi movie or something.
It is, and sometimes we don't even notice it, It's just there.
Okay, let's talk examples. Like those recommendations I get on my streaming app, that's AI, right?
Yeah, for sure. AI is picking out your movies, blocking your spam, even telling you how to drive with those map apps. It's like a silent partner, making everything work better.
It is kind of wild when you think about it. But what about AI fixing the big problems? Climate change, curing diseases, that kind of stuff.
AI for good, right? Huge potential there. But we got to remember the risks too, like what happens to jobs as AI gets smarter.
Yeah, the whole robots taking our jobs thing, that's a little scary, to be honest.
It's a valid concern, and it's not just factory jobs anymore. AI can do stuff in finance, law, even writing news articles.
So white-collar jobs are in trouble too, huh? That's a big deal.
It could change everything. We need to figure out how to adapt to this new world, right? Make sure everyone benefits, not just a few.
It's not just the tech, it's about how we use it and who it helps.
Exactly. And then there's privacy. As AI gets better at collecting data, it's easier to spy on us, misuse that information.
It already feels like everything we do is being tracked online.
And it could get worse. Finding that balance, AI's benefits versus our privacy, that's a tough one.
And remember the bias thing we talked about? That's still a big problem.
Huge problem. Gotta be so careful, or AI could make existing inequalities even worse.
It's like building discrimination right into the systems we use.
It's scary, for sure. The people building AI, the ones making the rules, they have a lot of responsibility to make sure it's fair.
Okay, so lots of challenges. Any solutions in sight? What can we actually do about it?
No easy answers, unfortunately. It's going to take a lot of things working together. Rules, new technology, and society itself needs to adapt.
Let's break that down. What kind of rules are we talking about?
Well, there's the GDPR in Europe, the General Data Protection Regulation. It's all about protecting personal data, giving people control over their information.
A good start, but probably not enough, right?
Definitely need more. We need rules that force AI to be transparent so we can understand how it makes decisions. Rules about accountability, about bias, especially for important stuff like healthcare and finance.
Can we actually build AI that's ethical, trustworthy?
A lot of smart people are working on that right now, trying to make systems that are transparent, fair, and actually match up with human values.
So not just making AI powerful, but making it responsible.
That's the goal. Some interesting things are happening. Open source AI, where everyone can see the code and make it better. And data trusts, a way to share data ethically.
Sounds promising, but it feels like tech alone can't solve everything. What do you mean by society adapting?
Well, we got to prepare people for a world full of AI, right? How do we teach the next generation for jobs that don't even exist yet?
So teaching them the skills they'll need to work with AI.
Right. Critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, all those things that are hard to automate. Education needs a major upgrade.
It's like we all need to become lifelong learners, constantly adapting to AI changes.
That's the key. Always learning, always changing.
Wow, this is heavy stuff. It's complicated, but it seems like people are working hard to make AI better.
They are. More and more people are realizing we need to do this right. It's a conversation for everyone, from the tech geniuses to the everyday folks.
So what's the main takeaway you want our listener to think about?
The biggest thing is AI is not some far-off thing. It's here, it's now, it's changing things. The decisions we make today, they're shaping the future.
This isn't just a tech issue. It's something we all need to talk about.
For sure. Understanding AI is the first step to shaping it. And speaking of the future, let's finish up by talking about how AI might impact our lives in the years to come.
We've talked tech, we've talked challenges, but what about the human side of all this?
Yeah,
AI is something we're making, right? It's for us.
absolutely. The future of AI, it's all about our choices, our values, what we do with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what about work? We talked about AI automating jobs, but could it actually change what work even means?
Some people, they think AI will take over the boring stuff, and then we can focus on more creative work, things we actually enjoy.
Okay, so instead of hating our jobs, we could, follow our passions, make a difference. I like that.
Right. But it also makes you think, how would society change? How do we make sure everyone has good opportunities, even if their skills can be automated?
Yeah, that's a big one. It's like we need to rethink the whole system.
Exactly. And it's a conversation we need to start having, like yesterday.
Okay, work's one thing, but what about how we relate to each other? Could AI make us more connected, more empathetic, or more isolated?
That's a great question. On the one hand, AI could connect us in ways we can't even imagine right now, breaking down language barriers, letting us interact with people all over the world, like virtually.
I could see that.
Yeah.
But couldn't we also get too attached to our devices, to these algorithms, and forget about real human connection?
It's a risk, for sure. We got to be careful, make sure tech is making our lives better, not taking away what makes us human.
Right. And that brings us back to AI ethics, which we've been talking about. How do we make sure AI reflects our values as humans?
That's the big question. We got to remember, AI isn't good or bad on its own. It's just a tool, right? It's all about how we use it. Human values, they need to be at the core of it all.
So, building those ethical principles right into AI systems from the start.
That's it. And that means talking about the values we want AI to have: fairness, transparency, accountability, basic human dignity.
Sounds like a tough job, but important.
It is. And it's not just the AI builders, it's everyone. The people making the rules, ethicists, everyone needs to be involved.
So we all have a role to play in guiding AI toward a good future.
That's right. What we do today with AI, it's going to impact everyone for a long time.
It's a lot to think about. So after all this AI talk, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
I hope they see the potential of AI, but also how important it is to think about it carefully. It's not something to be scared of, but we can't just blindly accept it either. It's a powerful tool. We need to use it wisely to create the future we want.
Well said. It's been awesome exploring AI with you. And to our listener, thanks for hanging out with us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something and feel ready to be a part of this AI future. Because remember, it's not set in stone. We're all making it together.